Hello, everyone. Before we get started, make sure to like and subscribe, and leave a comment saying where you're from and when you watched. That way, YouTube will continue to show you stories like this. Now, let's get started. Asterisk, I collapsed to the ground, breathing heavily, my whole body drenched in cold sweat. Before my eyes, the Ferris wheel had stopped. The white shadow had disappeared as if it had never existed. But the phone in my hand was still glowing brightly. The words on the screen made my heart stop beating. You have seen the beginning, now face the end. I screamed in despair. The scream echoed in the vast space of the abandoned park, then was quickly swallowed by the darkness. I felt like I had become a puppet being controlled, no longer having the right to choose. And everything around me was now part of the terrifying haunted stories that I never wanted to believe. Suddenly, the phone vibrated. This time there was no more hoarse laughter, but instead a sob. A young female voice rang out, weak, trembling. Please help me. I was stunned, my heart choked, my throat dry. I stammered, "Who are you?" But the voice only repeated the words, "Please help me," a few more times before fading away, leaving only static in the speaker. I looked at the screen. A new line appeared. "If you want to escape, follow the crying." Immediately, I heard a small sob from deep in the park, sometimes far, sometimes near, as if coming from underground. I trembled, but my feet still followed. Automatically, the crying led me to an abandoned greenhouse, the door broken, the rusty iron frame extending like claws. Inside was dark, only a few pieces of glass, glittering, reflecting the blue light from the phone screen. The air was thick with the smell of mold and ash. I stepped in. The crying suddenly stopped, replaced by whispers echoing everywhere. I spun around, trying to find the source of the sound, but could only see my own shadow flickering in the broken glass. Then one of them reflected not me, but the silhouette of a long-haired girl, her face burned, her eyes lifeless. I screamed, raised my hand and hit the glass. It shattered into hundreds of pieces, and the figure disappeared. At that moment, the phone rang again. A trembling female voice said, "I'm trapped. Don't let him find me." Then the line was cut off. The cold beep continued. I trembled and stepped back. But the blue light on the screen shone on the glass floor, showing the words, "Dig down where you stand." My limbs went limp. I looked down at the ground, saw the cracks crisscrossing as if hiding something underneath. I shouted in panic that I didn't want to continue, but the sound of the wind whistling through the broken glass window was like a cruel urging. I knelt down, using my hands to dig the cold, hard soil. My fingernails were scratched, blood oozed out, but then I touched something hard. Pulling it up, I saw another phone, old and scorched. The screen was cracked, but strangely, it also lit up, showing the words, "You are now connected." I threw it down in panic, but both phones rang at the same time, creating a deafening sound that pierced straight into my brain. I screamed, covering my ears, and collapsed onto the cold ground. In the chaos, a figure appeared in the middle of the greenhouse. It was the long-haired girl I had just seen in the mirror, limping, her clothes torn and scorched. She stepped forward, her charred hand outstretched, her eyes pleading but empty. I stepped back, both scared and confused. She opened her mouth, her voice weak. "Help me escape from him." Before I could ask, a hoarse laugh echoed through the space, shattering the remaining glass. The familiar, hoarse voice from the phone rang out in unison. "Don't listen to it. It already belongs to me." I held my head, feeling as if my brain was being torn apart by two opposing streams of sound, one pleading for help, the other giving a threatening command. I screamed in despair, but both voices grew louder and louder. Then the light in the greenhouse suddenly went out, leaving only the two phone screens glowing, projecting the distorted silhouettes of me and the girl. I realized that I was standing between a choice: save the girl's soul, or listen to that voice to preserve my life. I trembled, not knowing what was real and what was fake. But then, deep inside, I felt an invisible hand grip my heart, causing my breathing to stop. I understood that if I didn't choose, I would die right there. I trembled as I walked towards the girl, but when my hand was about to touch her, all the lights suddenly went out, leaving a thick darkness. In that darkness, a hoarse voice rang right next to my ear: "The game is about to move to the next phase, and you have no way back." I shouted loudly, but my voice seemed to disappear into nothingness. The phone in my pocket rang again, the screen lit up with the words, "Leave this place before sunrise, otherwise you will stay forever." I rushed out of the greenhouse in a panic, running frantically through the abandoned park. Every step felt like dozens of invisible eyes were watching me. When I got out, I collapsed to the ground, my heart pounding, my eyes blurred with exhaustion. But the phone kept ringing, as if reminding me that the game had not stopped. End of part 4. Please follow the next episode to see what horrors John will face when the game enters a new phase.